You know, it can be a little bit hard to figure out what you're supposed to do after you finish the story in MMOs. Obviously, each MMO is very different, and what your endgame is going to be can also be quite different between the people who are playing the game. Not to mention that endgame can vary between patches, or what content you're trying to progress, or if you're trying to finish some stuff that is from older expansions that you haven't been able to do yet. So I figured it could be fun to just take a look at what I'm doing as a kind of new to the endgame player now in 6.3. So I'm going to go over what my daily or weekly goals generally are. Obviously, each day can differ a bit, and sometimes I play more and sometimes I play less. But this is going to give you a good overview of what I'm doing right now in the game. And make note that could change when the next patch comes out. So maybe I'll end up making another video like this then. So if you are playing Final Fantasy XIV and you aren't quite sure what you want to do, so here is what I'm doing at the moment, and maybe some of it you might want to do as well. First thing first, I start the game, I log in, and I try to figure out where the hell my character is, because I tend to log out all over the place. Sometimes I log out in an inn, sometimes I log out in my home, but a lot of the time I just log out somewhere in the ass end of nowhere. So the first step is obviously getting to the nearest bell, usually either in my own house or in my FC house. And there I check up on my retainers. I have this thing with collecting, so I'm technically paying to have one retainer of each race outside of the Lala, because I am obviously the Lalafell. So first I check out the adventures, and I check over the marketplace. Usually I have to adjust some prices, put some new things up for sale, or take something off sale if the price has dropped way too much. This usually takes me a bit because there is just so many of them, but I can't let any of them go. So this is usually my first start of the day. And sometimes I also end the day like this, making sure everything is sorted before I go. That is if I end the game in my house or my FC house. If I log out in the ass end of nowhere, my poor retainers will just have to wait till morning. After sorting retainers, I head to Gridania. This is the other thing I do every day right now, which is working on my Squadron missions. I want to get to top rank with my grand company, so I can start buying those like loot boxes that you can apparently get. That are supposedly holding like mounts and minions. I've never seen them, but I've been told about them, and apparently I have to be top ranked with my grand company, so I'm working on it. Currently, I have maxed out the ranks I can have, and now I have to make my adventure squadron like finish stuff. So I'm currently trying to get them high enough so I can make them do their solo mission. And then at the moment, for the next like 2-3 days, I'm also running a dungeon with them, because I need to run 5 dungeons so I can unlock the final dungeon that is going to give me the final upgrade. But obviously, before I can get that one, I need to also have them finish their solo dungeon. It's a work in progress, but this is something I do every day because I'm not very fond of the squadron missions, but they're worth doing. After that, I try to remember to go to the Golden Saucer. I don't always remember it, but I'm trying to, because I'm trying to do the mini jackpots every day, because I just have so many things I have to buy there. And then it really comes to the weekly things. Now, depending on the day, I have different things I really need to do. For example, if it's Tuesday, I want to drop by the Dome and Enclave to make them buy some massively overpriced stuff of me, because they pay like 200% for everything right now, which is lovely for me. Not so much for them. I don't know why they let me do this, but I just cap them out on Tuesdays and then go on with my life until next Tuesday when I can do it again. The other thing I always do on Tuesdays is custom deliveries. At the moment, I have not maxed out all of the clients, so I'm just slowly working my way up the list. And as I have not maxed out my crafters and gatherers yet either, this is a very handy way to get some extra XP at the start of the week. At the moment, I'm working on Atkirak and Kaishir. I've had a lot of fun with the 3 I finished, which is Kurenai, Manago, and Slowy. Especially Kurenai and Slowy, which I was allowed to dress up at the end of it. And I think I made them kind of nice outfits. So that's my Tuesday stuff. If it's Wednesday, it's raid night, because there's such a fun group in the free company I am in that actually runs every week, trying to do some ultimates and maybe extremes. So every Wednesday is always dedicated to that, no matter what, because I don't want to miss it, I'm also trying to gather up like all the currency for the scary looking fox thing, so I can buy stuff of him. That's a work in progress. So that is always on Wednesdays. Now, Saturday evening, I go check out my lottery. Don't miss out on the lottery if you're not doing it. It's in the Golden Saucer. You can buy 3 tickets a week, and you always come out like with more than you put into it. Maybe not a lot more, I tend to lose in it, but still, something. So just go do it. It's definitely worth doing. I usually also on Saturdays or Sundays do the fashion report. There is a person on Twitter who just puts up the fashion reports there every weekend. It is lovely because it tells me exactly how I'm gonna do it. I will try to remember to put a link in the description. It's very handy. It just tells you what to do to get the minimum 80 points you need to get like maximum amount of money, which I love. But out of these things, I definitely want to try to do at certain times of the week. I have also certain goals I'm working on every day when I'm in the mood to do it, and depending on like how much time I have. So sometimes I do more and sometimes I do less. Now currently, one of my daily goals is actually working on my Series 3 PvP. This is the first time I'm taking part in PvP in FF14, and to do this I'm mostly just doing the daily PvP roulette. I'm currently rank 11. My goal is to get at least up to rank 20. Maybe I might go up to 25 for the glamour, though I'm not sure because I don't like the glamour. This time around it just does not look right on Alala. But I definitely want to get to level 20 at least for the portrait stuff. And of course level 15 for the mount. So when I reach level 20, I'm gonna see if I want to go the extra 5 or not. It will really depend on how much time is left of the season. After doing that 1 PvP roulette, or 2 if I'm in the mood, or when I'm waiting for them to pop, I start figuring out what I'm gonna do with roulettes today and my tribal quests. I've managed to max out the Endwalker tribal reputations, which were so much fun, and over the past few months I've been slowly working my way through the older content. At this point I'm almost done with the Moguls in Heavenward, but I'm also working on the Kojin, the Ananta and the Namasu. As I can get max 3 quests from each every day, it rounds well up to the 12 quests I have. I do expect as soon as I finish the Moguls, I am gonna continue on with the Pixies. I have gotten them quite far, but I still have some way to go. And I know there are also more Shadowbringer reputations that I have yet to open. So that is all work in progress. And while I'm doing my tribes, I usually am also queuing up for a variety of roulettes. And I try to use these roulettes to level up my different jobs. My goal is to get everything to level 90. At the moment I have 3 jobs at level 90, the White Mage, the Bard and the Dancer. And my current goal is to level up my Warrior, so I can have a tanking job in the Endwalker tanking story. Now before I decide on the rolls and the roulette, I'm gonna have to look at my tombstones. If I have not capped my tombstones for the week, then I'm definitely gonna jump on my White Mage and run an expert dungeon, because that is what gives me most of the tombstones of causality. Without cutting into any of the roulettes my leveling jobs are working on. After I'm done with that, I jump on my Warrior or any other job I fancy leveling at the time. Now I don't do every roulette every day, and usually before I start doing them I do look at my Wondrous Tales from Chloe. And depending on what I have open, and depending on what I'm missing from that, I will try to pick the roulette that might match it. So for example, if I'm gonna go do a 50, 60, 70 dungeon, then I make sure I can get points for completing something. It doesn't really matter, just in case if I end up in it, then I'm gonna get my little sticker for the book. Now, when I'm doing roulettes, generally the ones I like to do are my 50, 60, 70 one. Sometimes I do the leveling dungeon, and then I like to do trials and normal raids, because those usually don't take a lot of time. Though sometimes you can go into normal raid and just be horrified when you realize that it is a boss that you're gonna wipe on. But that is the risk you take when you go into roulette. Now, usually I don't manage to do all of this in a day, but if I do, then as a backup I try to go check on my island, which I am very, very slowly working on because it's just not the priority for me right now, but will be sometimes in the future most likely. and I try to see if there are any side quests or any quests that I haven't done yet. And that's about it for what I'm working on right now, like on the week-to-week basis. And that's of course not counting the times when I'm actually working on lore videos, which can take up a good chunk of my playing time, which then involves playing old content, looking into things, talking to random NPCs, gathering background footage, and just generally having the game running in the background while I'm writing a script or sorting something out. But this is sort of my weekly experience. I have a lot of fun with this game. I do also often play other games. And that's a good thing about FF14 is you don't have to play it every day or a lot every day to keep up. And for me, it makes it a game that is a place to relax and have fun in instead of being a chore that I have to do. And that's how games should be. Yeah, that's my week. Then at the end of the day, I either sort out my stuff, check on my retainers, and then log off with my character in a reasonable place, or I realize it's quite late, or I have to do something else, and I log off in the ass end of nowhere. And that's sort of my day-to-day life in Final Fantasy XIV in patch 6.3. I would love to hear what you guys are working on, if there are any specific goals you're trying to achieve, or if you have your own favorite content. Let me know about it in the comments. I am very curious.